Well, welcome to the Law and Crime Network. You are back, my Law and Crime family, and I'm sure you are, because what a day we have. We have Jesse Weber, our own Jesse Weber, who's usually anchoring, but he has been at the courthouse in the Harvey Weinstein matter down there at 100 Center Street. Jesse, what has been happening this morning? I understand there were more fireworks in the courthouse.
Hey, Linda, when do we have a morning when we don't see fireworks? So first I'll tell you that the defense first tried to get juror number 11 thrown off again. Again, she was that juror that was penning that novel about predatory sexual men. She still was allowed to remain on the jury. Her name came up yesterday as the defense discovered that she had been reading and reviewing books on this subject matter. The judge allowed her to stay after questioning her. Today, Damon Chirona said that the judge didn't thoroughly question her, didn't really question her, we only questioned her about one book and not another book. At the end of the day, the judge said, look, she did nothing wrong, she stays. We saw, just to give you an idea of the back and forth and the dynamic between the judge and the defense, it was freezing in that courtroom. Can't stress enough, the windows were open. So Donna Rotuno asked the judge, please, can you shut the windows? And he just shook his head and said no. And there was a back and forth between them. And Donna Rotuno says, can you just do one thing for us? And he mockingly said, one thing for you? So it just kind of gives you a back and forth about what their relationship may be like. He eventually did close the windows because the jury requested that the windows be closed. All the reporters in the courtroom were laughing and clapping at that. It was freezing. Now, let's get into some substance. The jury did have another question today, or series of questions. They wanted a readback of Miriam Halay's testimony, both on direct and cross, regarding the alleged assault at Harvey Weinstein's Soho apartment and them allegedly having consensual sex at the Tribeca Grand Hotel. That's what was happening as I left the courtroom, a readback where the court reporters were actually reading back that testimony. They also asked, the jury also asked for a series of communications between Harvey Weinstein and Miriam Halay, copies of all those emails, and also any emails where Harvey Weinstein spoke to somebody else about Miriam Halay. At this point, it appears that the jury for the past 2 days have been considering the Annabella Shore account as well as Miriam Halay that make up the first two charges, and as well as the third charge, but really the first two charges. That begs the question, have they even considered Jessica Mann at this point? It appears they are focusing on Miriam Halay's testimony. They're focusing on any reasonable doubt put forward by the defense, but that's what we've seen so far in the courtroom today.
So, Jesse, let me ask you about juror number 11, because this has been a hot issue. Did the defense read the comments? So they said she posted a review on one of these books about sexual predators. Did they read those comments that she posted into the record?
They absolutely did. They read it into the record yesterday, and those comments were highly controversial in that she was reviewing this book where she's describing this older man in the book in a predator sense. And again, the subject matter, although it seemed to be more about child abuse, about an older man with a 15-year-old, that's the novel, it's still flavors of the same subject matter. And of course, you know, that's interesting because why was she allowed onto the jury? The judge still believes that she can be an impartial juror. And remember, the jury was never instructed not to read any books or not to review any books. They're just supposed to not talk about the trial. They're not supposed to read anything about the trial or see anything about the trial. So technically, she didn't break any rules. But having said that, we know the law in New York is that if a juror is grossly unfit to serve on the jury for some sort of reason, that might be grounds to discharge that juror. Apparently, the judge thinks that she can continue.
Well, that leads me to the next question with you with regard to that, Jesse. If I recall, the judge or the defense attorneys wanted to exercise a challenge for cause, and the judge refused against her to get her off. Did they use what they're called a preemptory challenge, or one of their challenges that they're entitled to under the law, to remove her from the jury?
During jury selection, they had actually run out of those preemptory challenges, and they did then go to their second option, was try to get rid of this juror for cause. Ultimately, the judge said no. Now, there's a theory about why he did this. My personal opinion is that the judge has been very keen to validate his process of jury selection in the sense that, you know, he was being questioned by the defense countless times about, can you really get an impartial jury? This case should be moved to a different jurisdiction. He kept denying that and felt that they can get an impartial jury. I believe he wants to validate the process of jury selection by saying we had summons, we had a questionnaire, we had the attorneys question these jurors. Ultimately, these jurors said they can be impartial. Despite anything in their lives, they can be impartial. To go back, if the judge were to say, okay, well, she's not impartial, this is one who slipped through the cracks, then it shows that perhaps his process didn't really work as well as he wanted to. That's my opinion. He did say countless times when the defense has objected to certain things that you've made a record of it, you can make a record of it, but we have to move on.
And there seems to be, obviously, Jesse, with you, when you said, I've never seen, quite frankly, a judge mimic an attorney, especially in a very serious case. And all cases are serious for the defendants, an attorney. Was the Arthur Ardella's partner there, that's Judge Barry Kamens, who used to sit on the court, and was there a record made of that as to whether or not that was objectionable by the defense?
Not really. I think it just was a sense of that there's possibly some tension between the defense and the judge. Defense believes that they're not winning anything from this judge. I mean, again, they earlier this morning wanted Juror 11 taken off the case. That did not happen. And look, the judge kind of mockingly or comically said only one thing. And I think that that's interesting because, look, you could flip the script. How many times could Harvey Weinstein have been brought into custody or, been taken to jail for using his cell phone or violations of his ankle monitor, and yet the judge still allowed him to be out on bail? There was also, yesterday the prosecution brought up the fact that Donna Rotuno penned this op-ed piece right on the eve of jury deliberations. Was that appropriate? Should she have been sanctioned? Should Harvey Weinstein have been brought into custody? Because, again, the state said that he was the one who sanctioned Donna Rotuno doing this article. The judge said no. So as much as the defense believes that the judge has been unfair to them, you have to hit the other side and say, well, he has been fair to them as well. He hasn't taken opportunities to throw their client in jail.
Jesse, and one more question, because I know you have a very short period of time that you can stay with, maybe 30 seconds at most, is what do you think the jurors were looking for in Mimi Halei's testimony from both the prosecutor's side and from the defense side?
Was there forcible compulsion? Was there consent? Those are the issues. And they're trying to understand exactly how she got to that apartment, why she went to that apartment, what happened in that apartment, and giving an understanding what she said on direct, what she said under cross. These kinds of questions are vital to the Miriam Halei account. It's all about 2006.
Well, Jesse, I know you're going to have to go back into that courtroom. The jury will be deliberating after they resume for lunch, or maybe they're deliberating over lunch. But you'll be our eyes and ears, and thank you for reporting to all of us.
Thanks, Linda. Appreciate it.